The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Hello and welcome to another Soccer to the Max podcast. I'm your host, Sean Garmer, and this is your weekend edition where we'll be talking about all things MLS games from the weekend, the NWSL action as well. NWSL also making news for some Players Association possibly leading to more, and MLS even has more international TV deals happening for them. And of course, there's also the Under-20 World Cup that has started, and the U.S. game is looming here in about 3 or 4 hours, about 4 hours. So, we'll get to. I'm thinking I might try to stay up since I have some other things I need to try to finish before I go to bed. But, should be fun to get to watch the U.S. Play in their first game. I got the early celebration with Venezuela winning. I don't know how much of you... that's the only game I've been able to watch so far, because I couldn't stay up any longer because I had that party on Saturday night, and then I had to work today during those games. So... The Venezuela-Germany game is the only one I've been able to watch. Have you been able to check out anything, Eric?
Well, I've been able to watch the second half of Zambia and Portugal, and I've got the U.S. match set to record because, I'm going to have to be passed out of sleep, but other than that, now granted, unfortunately, plans, orifices, that hasn't materialized so far, but it's just match day 1, so there's still time.
Oh, God. Well, maybe you will be able to give us more information on that in the midweek. Before we get into the other, since this doesn't really have anything to do with the other stuff we're talking about, I might as well just kind of lead off with this. Really interesting that, let's go through these 4 groups that have played so far, and England going and beating Argentina 3-0. That totally surprising. Now, South Korea going at home and beating Guinea 3-0 doesn't surprise me at all. But, man, Argentina is the team that's won this the most times out of anyone. You're always talking about Argentina when it comes to any kind of competition, and this is crazy, especially for the under-20s, under-17s. That's where they thrive.
Hey, England has been going with a lot more young blood. We've seen that from your senior team. Now we see why. Just take this as a revenge for what happened back in Mexico in '86. And if you want to throw in the Falkland Islands War, fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's good that the host nation starts out with a impressive win. Now they have to try to deal with, an upset Argentina team that needs to win and an England team that looked impressive. So they've still got a lot of work ahead of them. Of course, Venezuela with a shock 2-0 win to start off the whole tournament. It surprised many. Not that there was just a bunch of people watching it at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, like I was, but I did have some people respond to my live tweets, and they were pretty pumped. I'm sure Germany fans are not happy about losing like that, but Mexico having a deal big time with Vanuatu.
Look at you little islanders from that teeny place in Vanuatu. You're actually playing like real footballers out there.
I wonder how much of that is Mexico being overconfident as far as thinking they can just walk in and win. But, it's a credit to Vanuatu for going in there and getting at least making it a game,
Yeah, Mexico, they had a 2-0 lead, blew it, and if it wasn't for that deep stoppage time goal, where they're looking at a draw and dropping 2 points. So, this is going to set up to be an interesting group now.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be pretty much done and dusted when we were doing predictions just for fun here, and man, interesting. Going forward, Zambia getting that win that you mentioned against Portugal, and Iran beating Costa Rica. So CONCACAF so far not looking the best.
And Iran, they're one of the top dogs when it comes to that part of Asia. Them, Saudi Arabia, Iraq. So I'm not terribly surprised, but Portugal, they just decent holding off Zambia in the first half, and then in the second half just collapsed.
Now this one, I for some reason totally blanking on who played who here. Do you have it on you?
For Group D?
Yeah.
Japan beating South Africa, and Uruguay with a lone goal over Italy to secure a 1-0 win.
Yeah, so Uruguay, one of the favorites coming in. Of course, them getting the big 3 points. Italy, very tough side always to play. And Japan, of course, being sort of close to home. They're going to get a little bit of a rub, being a kindred Asian nation. Beating South Africa, probably the weakest squad in the group.
The only benefit is this is soccer. Now, if South Africa went and laid this kind of egg for an extended period of time in rugby, then there would be some problems.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think ever since that World Cup, I think people have this thought about maybe South Africa getting better, but
no,
kind of hadn't happened, for them. But yeah, the action gets hot and heavy for the United States at 3 in the morning. Then the Saudi Arabia-Senegal match is right after at 7. And then the two other matches in Group E will be taking place either at the same time at 4 or at the same time at 7. So
yep, France and Honduras will be played at 4 alongside U.S. Ecuador, and at 7 a.m. if you want to have a little bit of football with your breakfast, Saudi Arabia, Senegal, and Vietnam and New Zealand.
Those just totally ring off the I want to watch those. But you never know.
Yeah, they ring off the, hey, I'm going to need coffee.
Yeah. Hey, you never know. New Zealand, Vietnam might surprise everyone for all we know.
There are some very terrible jokes that I'm just going to not make. I'm just not. Yeah.
They must be really bad if you're not making them.
Oh, yeah. The New Zealand ones are decent, but the Vietnamese, no. We would be getting some angry tweets if I made those jokes.
I don't know that I want, angry people already, honest. So, before we get into it, just a little bit of something that shouldn't take very long, but interesting stuff for MLS. Of course, they're now seen in over 170 countries and territories around the world after they gave everyone the news that they now have agreed to international rights deals with India, Honduras, and New Zealand. India is the best deal for them right now. They got 5 games a week. Of course, this is on a premium sports channel, so this probably is why they're getting so many games. It's not on some kind of regular TV broadcast. So 5 regular season games a week, certain MLS Cup playoff matches, and the MLS Cup. Honduras and New Zealand will be broadcasting the MLS All-Star Game, playoffs, and MLS Cup, and only 1 regular season game. But I think these are more sort of known TV networks in Honduras, Our Media, and TVNZ Duke in New Zealand. So I mean, good that MLS keeps spreading those wings, I guess. I don't know if that makes people actually watch the MLS coverage, but it's there at least.
Well, I mean, India is going to be the most intriguing one because just for shiggles and throwing out a number, that's a premium sports channel. So now you've increased your potential audience by what, 300 million? 350 million? And 5 games a week, that's no slouch. And let's face it, it's India. Would they rather see I-League football or MLS?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you might, you're certainly going to get some more people, known players watching MLS. So, but I'm pretty sure they get Premier League and all that stuff there too. So, I mean, they have the same amount of options that the U.S. does. Perhaps it's different though, depending on what time of day all that stuff's airing and when they can watch things. But
true.
Good thing, good for MLS here. So, all right, let's talk about. Oh, dang it! What did I just do? Let's talk about these games here. NYCFC.
Yeah, we're skipping
they were
that
I'm sorry. We have to talk about it.
But do we really, though? I mean, really?
Do you want to start at the other end and come back to it then? So you can.
Yeah, if at all possible.
Alright, so we'll start with Montreal blasting Portland 4-1.
The Ignacio Piatti show, kind of a stupid penalty. I believe it was Valeri getting a red card in that match. So, Portland, sorry, but you played yourselves. You really had no answer, especially the fact that you played 70 minutes down a man. Montreal, they matched your speed with their speed.
Yeah, not the greatest there from Portland, but I mean, Montreal at home is no joke, man. They play really well over there, and I should mention though that the weekend actually started with Red Bull and Toronto, with Red Bull and Toronto getting a 1-1.
Weird change in formation for Toronto, but they did follow my advice in playing 2 strikers, and it worked, but their defense was a little bit wobbly early on. BWP with a very class finish, but the 1-1 seemed extremely fitting for how that one went down.
Yeah, I mean, Josie missing a penalty is
horribly. He missed that horribly.
That's kind of unforgivable at that point. You could have gotten TFC their 7th straight win.
Yep.
And then you miss a penalty. I mean, Sebastian Giovinco didn't play in this, right? So
no.
It's surprising to me, honestly, how much he hasn't played at times. I mean, he's obviously been vital when he does play, but that TFC is strong enough and deep enough to be able to just play on without him.
Yeah, they want to mix and match, try some different things, do some different stuff, and it works to an extent.
Yeah, certainly.
To an extent.
I mean, I should mention this thing about Portland, like how crazy it's been with Portland in the past, since they started undefeated. They're 2-4-3 with a -5 goal differential.
Well, think of it like this. Today was the first time since the opener that they've really been able to put out their best 11. And they went ahead and they screwed the pooch. So, while today was a bit of an unforgivable performance, can you really blame them as far as dealing with injuries, but to extremely key players?
Oh, yeah. I mean, losing the players that they have, and again, that whole thought that I mentioned, I think, of the midweek of they haven't had their 4 best players on the pitch at the same time. That counts for something.
And then they did today, and poof.
You got to take that. It doesn't. You got to take that time to be able to play with each other still too. I mean that counts as much as you know each other. You still haven't played. You got to get some of that rust off. I think that kind of plays a factor there for Portland, honestly. Moving it along, FC Dallas is no longer the only undefeated team in MLS, as a wonderful, absolutely magical goal by Yamir Hika, the man that broke the hearts the previous time San Jose got that late goal to tie things up. This time it was to win. And, I mean, honestly, Dallas has not played that well in this last, really since they did since losing the Champions League, they've sort of been kind of eking it out here and there at times.
Hangover. Not to mention when you have the likes of the Albanian Messi, or as I like to call him, someone not Chris Wondolowski actually scoring. Well, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's important for San Jose. Somebody that's not Chris Wondolowski scoring. I think, though, for San Jose has had that up and down season 2, but I just think that Dallas also, they get these players in the winter. They really haven't done much. They're still relying on a lot of the same guys. Marco Diaz is coming back to full health. To have played this well without him, I think is a testament to how deep the team is. But look, it's their first loss of the season. I don't think it's too big a deal, but good for San Jose.
Yeah, They need something.
Yeah, you need positive things happening. So, I mean, it's that same thing about the league. Just every week, look, we make these predictions, Eric, and most of the time we're wrong because of how this league is. Where
didn't you say at one point you were actually going to start keeping record of how bad we were?
Oh, jeez, I keep forgetting. I need to start. Remind me on Wednesday that to have a pen and paper while we're making those picks, and I write them down so that I can actually start keeping track.
Yeah, because we need to do a system of that. Meant to go over that with you.
Yeah, so we can know how bad we are. Because I mean, other than the Torontos and Chicagos of the world and stuff like that, who just keep on winning, a lot of the teams, it just changes every week. So and that being said, Chicago, they won big in the midweek. They eked one out against DC United on Unimas. At least DC didn't lose by a lot.
No, they didn't lose by a lot, but they could have done better because there was about 3-4 chances that they whiffed terribly. I'm telling you, they've officially checked out of RFK. Maybe we just need to become a traveling team the rest of the season. Maybe they'll care more.
I mean, Chicago doesn't get road wins very much, but DC at RFK Stadium.
Okay, that's a half a road win at this point. I mean, come on.
Wow, look at this. 0-3-0 with no goals scored on this homestand. Homestand.
Yeah, so anybody thinks they can just waltz in and claim something impressive. Yeah, you beat United at RFK. Now, with a team that's wearing sky blue, whose name shall not be mentioned for this podcast, that is a legitimate road win. Y'all are sons of bitches for getting it, but it's a legitimate road win. But that's beside the point.
Bill Hamid, though, you can't blame it on him.
No, I don't blame it on Hamid whatsoever. Not whatsoever. It was just the defense in front of him.
Yeah, just that's been the problem for DC all year. The defense in front of Hamid has just been awful. And I mean, I don't know how you can really fix that, honestly. Just it's so weird. Like, you'd think Ben Olsen, that would be the thing that he gets down, is making sure that defense is.
Yeah, but they're not keeping any chemistry. I mean, Kemp is the most consistent player starting along that back four. You try to get Birnbaum in when you can, but that's it. The rest are just giving you nothing.
Well, we talked about Miguel Almiron last week not taking the shots. This week, forget that. Hat trick from Miguel Almiron.
We told you to shoot, but you didn't believe us. Why didn't you believe us?
Also, if he goes to his left, he shoots much better. So, he did that plenty of times in this game. Minnesota, or who is it they played? I'm sorry, Houston. Houston.
Yes.
Come on now, I expect better than that.
Yeah,
I know you were away from BVA Compass, but
that's just and don't let that one fool you. That one was on a late penalty.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. They play much better at home than they play on the road. It's amazing the difference between the two teams that you see, honestly. I don't know if it's Houston just come up with a different setup when they go on the road, or just. But Atlanta was just itching for this win, honestly, after what happened in the previous game. So.
Well, again, they needed to let Almiron be the man. He needed to shoot. He did. They went from going back to what got them so much success the first few matches of the season, going to speed style rather than setting up and having a big target at the number 9 to go to, and this pays off.
Well, here's an important aspect of Sporting KC that I have no idea why this happens, but Iko Para. He started 11 times.
Mm-hmm.
SKC's only lost once.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't start. They've lost both games that he doesn't start. Vancouver wins 2-0.
Gerso had big opportunities, missed. Latif Blessing, big opportunities, missed. Vancouver, despite Freddie Montero not getting a good shot to save his life, including missing his own horrible penalty, they just did it.
Well, big win for Vancouver to keep things close for them, and Minnesota United keeping things close on their end, but they don't win, as LA Galaxy and a beautiful, beautiful golazo from Gio dos Santos. I tried to do what Gio dos Santos did. I pull something. I end up in the hospital. The angle, people don't normally bend that way and have any success. Well, not in soccer. Other areas, of course. Yeah, I mean, that's, again, Alessandrini, again, just has been fantastic for the Galaxy. Was he the star of the show again on this one? A little bit, because he set up quite a bit, especially right in front of goal, smack in the middle of 18. He had the pass that set up Dos Santos' golazo. I mean,
he was really tough to maneuver around. Now, giving Minnesota credit, they fought back late. They could have, at the very least, equalized as the second half wore on, but they did get their goal off of a great header from their Superman. They're still showing quite a bit. This isn't the old school Minnesota.
Well, Philadelphia, they keep winning 2-1 over Colorado. I mean, everybody's beating Colorado at this point, so...
Okay, Colorado, retire the yellow jerseys. I'm sorry, I love them, but no, you can't. No. 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 No.
There you go, no.
Kudos to Philadelphia, and oh, by the way, if you're going to break a shutout streak, especially make it painful enough to where they don't even get the club shutout record, win the game. Stick it to them. Just, no. You did it wrong.
Yeah. But at least, hey, look, CJ Sapong has been tremendous. Philadelphia's defense has absolutely stepped it up.
Mm-hmm.
And Alejandro Bedoya has been getting into that defensive midfielder role, and or he's been playing on the wings more. And Meduyanin has been fantastic for.
He scored a great goal, and yeah, Philly has just been.
They haven't lost since
down.
Meduyanin basically figured it out.
Yeah, haven't lost, and again, this was the first goal that they allowed in some 440 minutes.
That's a testament right there.
Yeah, because if they had gone into the half and started out the second half scoreless, they would have broken their record as far as shutout streak. But that goal in the 14th minute put them like 32 short.
Yeah, I think just right now you got to be. If you're playing Philadelphia at this point, it's hard to figure out who you're gonna stop, because you've got a great spine through the middle. Their goalkeeper keeps getting better. The defense has figured it out. This is a team to watch. Let's see how they continue to go through the summer, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And Seattle getting their 1-0 win.
Could have been even more. Credit to Ramondo, little bit of the old man for making saves, and Dempsey, again, another miss on a penalty, but Jordan Morris, Ship, all those guys just breaking through, chance after chance after chance after chance after chance. They finally put one away. That was all they needed.
Yeah, New England, they didn't look good at certain points in the first half. Then Jay Heaps makes a change in the formation, and all of a sudden the Revs start going again, and the Revs continue to be undefeated at home with a 2-1 win.
Ola Kamara, goal of the week.
Ooh,
I'm sorry. You're playing one-touch football from inside your own half. You just one pass that's perfect, and then you score from easily 35, 40 yards out. And then New England says, I'm going to one-up you, and it's the Diego Fagundes show? I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, seriously. But I mean, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, he doesn't just beat you inside the box once, he runs and does it twice.
That's weird considering how disciplined Columbus usually is. But I mean, just again, people give shit to to Foxborough and Gillette for not being a great home for the team or whatever, but they keep winning.
Well, it's not that they're a great home for the team. It's just that, the people up top don't care. That's just emphasizes that, if you will.
Right. I mean, but then they keep putting out performances the way they do, and you have to feel like Robert Kraft is justified, I guess, in that.
No. No.
No. I'm not going to give him anything.
Oh, hell no. Sorry.
That's fair. It's fine. Well, we do have to talk about this one game that's left here.
Alright, fine, if we gotta, sons of bitches. You and your English-affiliated side. Might have a new grudge against a Spanish striker. It's bad enough that it took me 4 years after wanting to punch Andres Iniesta in the face. I had gone 3 years just fine, living my life, going about my business, even finally accepting things of the dreaded transfer window with Kyle Larin. And you do this? Really, David Villa? Why now? Why couldn't you do this for Atletico Madrid, where I could jump up and down in excitement? Eh? Why?
Yeah. I can't tell you. So I didn't get to watch this game, so
It was just...
It's only the first loss.
Yes, but we were so close. After winning 5 in a row, we'd already given up a 2-0 lead to SKC and got a draw. We were chasing SKC for unbeaten record to open up a new park. We had it. We had it right there in our hands. Just right there. And then all of a sudden NYCFC decides to stroll on in there and act like that man in that State Farm commercial wearing the overalls.
I mean, how much do you say it's Kaká still kind of adjusting to coming back and everything?
He barely even got any chances. Rivas and everyone were doing just fine.
I'm looking at this pass chart for Rivas. I'm seeing a lot more misconnected passes than connected ones.
True.
That dude needs to stop thinking he's a playmaker because he's not. He can barely get a shot together.
Yeah, 50-50. Remember how I said he's a little bit greedy when it comes to being on the ball? Yeah, that's still going on. That's still a thing.
Yeah, I mean that's been his problem for a long time of just I want to take these crazy shots. It's not happening for you, man. Just stop. Just stop doing it. Like, I know it's a habit, and I'm sure it's one that's hard to break, but he's hurting his team. I don't see where that really helps him at all, but NYCFC getting a big win here to avoid the sweep from Orlando, and that's how the weekend ends for MLS here. Interesting week ahead, though. There's what is this? They start the Canadian Championship on Tuesday.
Which, again, I think they need to switch up the format of that one.
Why do you say that?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but as it stands, you have Ottawa and Edmonton play each other.
No, Ottawa's playing Toronto right now.
Okay, so
I'm going to guess Ottawa may have beaten Edmonton already.
Well, and this is my thing, because it's normally Ottawa and Edmonton as the two countries' NASL sides, and then the winner plays one of the MLS sides, while the other two play each other
Right.
in like the semifinal, and then you have those two winners in a final. Would it kill them to just go to like a more expanded double round robin, like a home and away to kind of decide these things, or even a single round robin, do something?
What, had them all play each other and not have it based on MLS versus MLS and NWSL versus NASL?
Right.
I think they try to do it so that it's fair. Like you always have at least Ottawa, Edmonton get a shot in the final, and it's not always Toronto against Montreal or Vancouver. You know.
Well, that's why I say you do a double round robin. You can still expand it out because you would need, 10 match days over the course of the season. And I mean, you could do that to where it's like, 1 or 2 every week or so for 10 weeks?
Yeah. I don't know. They may not want to do that. I mean, the UEFA League of Nations did get confirmed this week. Univision announced they have the Spanish rights.
And I wonder who's going to get the U.S. broadcasting rights.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Who gets the English language one and how much they're going to promote it. You know, I wonder if Turner will try to go in on that since they got Champions League.
They better not.
That's a much bigger commitment, though. That's all of those games sort of matter now, and which ones do you choose that you're not going to air, and which ones do you air? You know, I'd love to see if CONCACAF really does it. How whatever TV partner, I'd imagine that if CONCACAF does it, it's going to be sort of like MLS is, and you'd have multiple TV partners because I don't think Fox or ESPN. I mean, ESPN's structured to where they could deal with it because they have ESPN3, but.
Why not?
I don't think Fox.
Someone like Comcast Sportsnet Philadelphia. I mean, I wouldn't mind watching a couple of matches under the circumstances.
No, God, no, please. Let's not make it more difficult than it is.
Well, I'm just saying, local things. They put out a good product. We've discussed this. I have reasons to where I would watch a match if that was available somehow.
Fair enough, but I'm saying not all of us would be able to watch it then. I think the whole point is to make it to where more of these games are accessible to people. So,
well, you could do a local and national deal. Support small businesses, local markets, etc., etc.
Fair enough. So we do have the NWSL to also cover here. I should mention that we won't have any, for the first time since doing a midweek show, we will not have any MLS games to talk about because Chicago and Dallas got moved to Thursday. So we'll just have an extra game on the weekend stuff to talk about. I mean, I guess we could sort of talk about the, under 20 games that are going on, but But, yeah, so let's move on to the NWSL here to close things out. The Boston and Portland on Go 90 on the first Friday game of the season that ended 2-2. So now, if this thing will, I don't know why this is, every time you press a button on this website and you it opens the dang teams, it will not let you see anything else, which is annoying.
Yeah, the NWSL, I've mentioned this in the past, but y'all need to step your digital game up. I mean, between goal 90 and your sight, I mean, it really
should be better at this point. But yeah, so this puts, Portland keeps just, it feels like ever since that first game of the season, they just haven't really been able to get these wins. They have been faltering every time it's either a draw or they lose or...
Well, I mean, can you blame them against Boston? I mean, from seeing what I did see out of this game, they had a lot of pretty good combination play, especially as they started playing not quite way out wide, but quasi-wide. Somewhat, how can I best explain this? The area between the corridor and the outer edges of the 18, that's where they did a good chunk of their damage.
Fair enough. I think that it just seems like, right now they're still... This league is also very up and down, it seems. North Carolina, once again, losing for the second straight week now after they'd gone unbeaten. Chicago Red Stars now creeping up the standings. And they're pretty close to possibly overtaking North Carolina next week if, Carolina drop points again.
Well, the Red Stars have been putting together better and better performances, getting a bit more chemistry and figuring out not so much ways of attack, but different ways of transition and defense. So this was just bound to happen.
The Sky Blue FC got another win. They're also now tied with Chicago at 10 points in week 6 here. Beaten Houston, who this was the lifetime game of the week. Again, ever since that first game, another team that has really just gone down. Houston losing here.
Well, to be fair, this is the second straight week that they face Sky Blue. And this is the second straight week that they've lost to Sky Blue. Oh, hi, bless her heart. She tried to make a lot happen. First going up the left flank, but central defense, especially Christine Pierce, which at 41, how she's managing to track attackers like Ohide now is just incredible. But then when they switched and started attacking from the right, things opened up, but it was already too late. Early penalty for Sky Blue, a couple other wonderful goals mixed in. I mean, they had great play, especially with Alessandrina scoring the goal, but it was just too far gone.
Yeah, so they decided to end the night with the Orlando and Seattle doing the late one.
Do I want to know?
It was 1-1.
Oh, there's at least some comfort, but
I don't think you'd be too upset about that.
Thankfully, I'm not. While I wish it was a win, at least one of my Orlando teams got points. I can accept that.
Ashlyn Harris went down with a hip injury, so I don't know why it decided it wanted to play the whole thing right here for me, but yeah, so Ashlyn Harris went down in the 24th minute with a hip injury, so that doesn't help things at all for Orlando, and that's another thing, just being able to play with your backup and only allowing one. So that's, I think, should be
consolence, which it is.
And Marta got a goal.
Yay! She keeps scoring, which, yes, things are starting to make a little more sense.
Yeah, so that's Sunday. You also had the debut of Mallory Pugh, and Washington loses 1-0, but at least it's only one.
The hostess is still dropping the ball on this one. I mean, if they're not even going to throw her a bone when she scores her first NWSL goal, I mean, you're literally millions of dollars on the table here. Come on now.
Yeah, Cindy LaRue couldn't get the bicycle kick, but Alexa Newfield got the goal. And Amalia Pugh didn't start. She came in the 54th minute, becoming the youngest American and third youngest player ever in NWSL history. So it's pretty cool for her.
It's extremely cool for her.
Hopefully she gets to make the most of it there in Washington. And so again, right now North Carolina is still leading the standings, but Chicago and Sky Blue and even Seattle on 9 points, Portland there on 9 points too, are creeping ever closer. With Washington still at the bottom of the pile, and Orlando at least getting in 8th above Houston now, thanks to their draw there. So doing better. I think the league just keeps, at least the play on the field is getting better as the time goes on. They have a game. They do have a Wednesday game at 7:30. So I misspoke. There will be some kind of game we got to talk about. North Carolina and Sky Blue play each other.
All right, go 90. It's on you, really.
Go 90. Please make it look good. Please, for the love of God. NWSL. I just wish you would have just. I know you're getting money from that, but
YouTube exists.
You could have put it on your damn website and done a service you're on your own, and probably would have made yourself more money, I think.
Again, YouTube exists for a reason. You could have cut a nice check to the folks at Google or Alphabet and try to monetize.
We'll have to see.
Hey now, Gangnam Style got 2 billion views. All right?
You're not wrong.
It's YouTube. YouTube.
At YouTube, you know what you're getting with YouTube, so you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, so the Wednesday game with North Carolina and Sky Blue should be interesting. Of course, again, Sky Blue can take the lead in the first place in the NWSL if they get the win. A draw will keep North Carolina ahead in the standings going into the weekend. And then you get Houston and Seattle as your last time game of the week, and then the rest of the games are on Saturday with North Carolina then playing Chicago and Sky Blue playing Orlando. So, all right, the only thing we got left to talk about here is the big news about NWSL. The non-allocated U.S. national team and Canadian national team players deciding to form an association so that they can get fair benefits. And especially because now there's been hints that due to this deal with Lifetime, NWSL is making TV revenue. And right now the minimum for non-allocated players is $15,000. That's bad.
No.
Players are having to run clinics or coach or do other things, have another job in the meantime to make ends meet. That's terrible. They shouldn't have to do that.
No, and especially for the fact that you expanded the league, you expanded the season for 24 weeks. That's fantastic. But $15,000, that is just unacceptable.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't know how they came up with that number, but I mean, I remember MLS when it first started, the pay was bad, and the pay was bad for a long while still for them. I think until the newest CBA where they got free agency and all that kind of stuff. Well, for the players, I think that have been in the league for like at least 4 years, and then just pay raises. It was bad. So hopefully these players can. Did you have? I think you said you had a big thing about this you wanted to bring up, but
Yes. Now I'm going to give a special shout out to my Australian peeps of the audience, because you went through something like this on a grander scale back in the 80s and 90s, especially culminating in the mid-90s with the Super League War. And what that was a whole business transaction from the top rugby league at the time, New South Wales Rugby League, trying to expand, trying to get a larger profile, but then you had teams break away and form a separate league. Now, I say that to somewhat correlate to what could potentially long shot apocalyptic scenario happen with the NWSL. You have your non-allocated players attempting to unionize, which could be good, could be bad, depending on how things are done. I'm saying let this process play out. But if this does not work, or if this works in a certain way, you could be creating a very large schism to where your allocated national team players play for certain teams and only certain teams, those that are willing to cooperate with certain deals, and those that are willing to cooperate with the union, you will start seeing them be flooded with more of your non-allocated players. Now, if you were to play out this scenario to its extreme, and I admit that this is extreme, but you could see more exclusive teams for national team players, and then another batch of teams that are exclusively union non-national team players. And if you really wanted to go that far, although I don't think it would be financially wise, as it wasn't in Australia, things could break apart into potentially two different leagues. Now granted, this could take multiple years to play out, but if you're going down this road, this is a very unlikely but possible end.
Yeah, I mean, I do think we're going to get to a players' union here. The thing is, you have to have the things separate because then national teams pay for those players, so the league doesn't. So
right, and again, yeah. I'm on board with the players' union, but down the road, if you want to even avoid having this happen or a hint of it happening, women's national team, those at the top at USSF, and those at the top brass of the NWSL have to sit it down and have some sort of meeting of the minds.
I mean, but how do you solve that, though? Because
I don't have an immediate answer without knowing any of the nuts and bolts.
I mean, because if you say, okay, well, U.S. national team, we're only going to pay for when you pay for the U.S. national team, and then you're going to go back to whatever NWSL decides to pay you for the other. Well, that's more on the NWSL teams now that goes against their salaries and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, maybe they need to just make an occasion for all international. If you play for your internationals team, period.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get some kind of rise out of the salaries or whatever. And if you don't, then okay, you don't get as much. But, I mean, I feel like Marta should be getting, some bonuses for paying with Brazil or Davinia or...
She should. You have a lot of Brazilians. You have a lot of Australians. Americans, Canadians. Rocky Rodriguez, who had a great performance for Sky Blue. She plays for Costa Rica. If you're trying to build essentially from this level of a talent base, you can't just say, okay, U.S. and Canada, you're taken care of, but no one else is. I would like to think Brazil could step up a little bit. Australia, I think they would love to be able to step up at least a little bit or have at least some sort of compromise. But this does start by Sunil Gulati and the top brass at NWSL having a meeting of the minds, phase one. Then once that's done, you start talking about, again, all of your international representatives. That's phase two. Trying to go with the heads of these different federations, or at least doing something.
Yeah, I get you on that. And I agree. They do need to do something. Just like you said, it's kind of, they're a bit limited right now in what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you just got this CBA with the national team players figured out. I don't think you want to be ruffling too many feathers there. Okay, if they form a union and they want to start going against NWSL, hopefully NWSL just says, okay, let's try to work this out. It doesn't become a war, and, because you need those players to be playing too.
Yeah, and that's why I say this starts now, while things are brewing, rather than later in the process as the union gets formed, as things get ratified, etc., etc., etc. Because again, you don't want another women's soccer war, and then you don't want to be a league completely torn apart by this.
Yeah, because you've made it to 5 years. Let's keep going forward with that, not going backwards. But yeah, unless you have anything else you want to add there.
It has been a bad soccer weekend for me, especially with the color blue. All shades of blue.
All right, then. I think that'll do it for us. Like I said, we'll just have the under-20s, what's been going on with the under-20s, any kind of news, and the one NWSL game to talk about on the midweek and on Wednesday. And then we'll get a full slate of a bunch of games from both leagues and under-20s and other stuff going on for the weekend. So until we see you again, enjoy your soccer, and we'll see you later, everybody.
Peace.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.